They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bull. They are not owed that.
Yeah, he said that earlier this month. This man has opened his damn mouth again with more stupidity. That's what happens when he does open his mouth. Here's what he had to say Tuesday at the Forum Alabama breakfast in Mobile. What's happening in our country right now? We're getting too many takers in our country, too many people to take a check and they don't want to give back. They don't want to go to work. We've got to get Generation X and these millennials to understand that you have to tote your own load. Really, Senator, tote your own load? How you gonna throw my generation under the bus like that? I'm hurt, quite frankly. I just want you to know that. And I expect an apology. Really, really hurt by that. So tote your own load. You weren't saying that when it comes to the giveaways to all these multi-millionaires and billionaires and corporations. You were not saying that they got to tote their own load. When the government gives out corporate welfare, I don't see you giving speeches at rallies saying that they are, one, unpatriotic, and two, that they must tote their own load. But when it comes to the hoods, where people are misunderstood, the rural hoods, the suburban hoods, or the urban hoods, you have a lot to say. That is really rich. And I want you all to excuse the pun. Coming from someone who literally made millions off the backs of thousands of millennials over the course of his college coaching career. Oh, let's put this up. I want the folks who are watching to see it. Tommy Tuberville made $25 million off black men. God forbid they get anything back. Hello, the former Auburn football coach earned a small, just depends on who's, small living off of the backs of his football players. Ray?
I will say he's right. There is a group of people in the United States who doesn't want to work and they want to freeload. We call them landlords. Also the ultra wealthy. Also these Republican politicians. But I'll give them credit. They are working hard to make sure the world is worse. But it's really gross. And he said Gen X, right? Targeted at Gen Z, I'm assuming. And as someone who is Gen Z, who's been working since I was 15 years old and hasn't stopped since, I've got a very different picture of the work ethic of my generation. Just because we're more vocal about how we don't want to, become cogs in the capitalist machine doesn't mean we're still not having to go to work and provide for ourselves. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to, keep on keeping on.
That's exactly right. I mean, your generation is a lot more socially conscious, and we have a whole lot of variables that make that so. The man is very much out of touch. So the explanation for his asinine commentary was laughable. So a spokesman had to come and try to clean this up. For Tuberville said that the state's junior senator misspoke and meant to say Gen Z, Ray, you called it, which is loosely defined as people born in the late 1990s and early 2000s instead of Generation X, which includes people in their 50s. I'm glad they cleared that up. I feel so much better now that the spokesperson cleared that up. So we weren't dunking on the Gen Xers, we just dumping on Gen Z. Yeah, glad. So now here is some data to debunk Tommy's lies. 66% of millennials are employed full-time. 35% of the US workforce are millennials. Millennials will represent 75% of the global workforce by 2025. What Tommy fails to recognize is that generation, the millennials, is the largest and most diverse generation up until this point. And a lot of them, although young, they have families. The upper side, the older side of that generation, bumping against the late 30s, early 40s. So they are very much working. And Ray, as you laid out, even if you're not on the upper end in terms of age of millennials, if you are in Gen Z, you are working. Memo, note to self, message in a bottle. people who do not have trust funds are working for a living. That is it. And it doesn't matter what generation they are from. This man, let's put up this headline. So you got to find something to blame. Tommy, he's gonna blame avocado toast, school for thought, because the math isn't mathing. To quote Andrew Yang, I need the math to math. Gen Z has 86% less purchasing power than baby boomers did in their 20s. You damn right, the math is not mathing. In fact, this generation, whether it's Gen Z or millennials, have to struggle and cannot, in some cases, hope that their lives will be better than their parents and also their grandparents because the system is absolutely rigged. I guess Tommy didn't get that memo. And Tommy, of course, left out the billions of dollars handed out to the ultra wealthy in this country. The US plans to lend $500 billion to large companies. It won't require them to preserve jobs or limit executive pay. Please let that stay up. Let us marinate on that. Put that back up. Let's marinate on that. The US plans to lend $500 billion of our dollars to large companies, and it won't require them to preserve jobs or limit executive pay. Now that he's aware, Ray, because I know he's watching, I want to see Tommy get on this real quick.
Also when it just comes to Gen Z, they'll cite unemployment statistics. And I just have to advocate for my generation a little bit. If you're Gen Z, you were either graduating high school into a pandemic or you were graduating college into a pandemic or going to college during a pandemic, which substantially limited your ability to enter into the workforce right after college. Lucky for me, I had law school lined up. That wasn't an issue. But now people are, graduating college with little on their resumes, and businesses are looking for extensive qualifications to start these jobs. So people are underemployed, leaving college, they're working minimum wage jobs, but people are still working really hard. So, the unemployment rate for Gen Z, is going to be skewed because of the pandemic and how that impacted, us uniquely. But they still are working. All my friends have jobs. I don't know anyone who's just sitting at home and freeloading. But Tommy Tuberville himself. But
sitting at home eating bonbons and got the Porsche parked in the driveway. That's what's happening. And to your point, Ray, about Gen Z, let us not forget that millennials were coming out of college, those who went to college, because we know everybody does not go to college. So shout out to folks who do not go to college. It's all right, it's okay. We need to have that option here. That's why we need tuition free. But I digress. Let us not forget that millennials, many of them faced the headwinds of the Great Recession from 2008. So we have back-to-back generations who had a confluence of things that were beyond occurrences, beyond their control, that they had to bump up against and deal with life as it comes ordinarily. Those are the facts, Tommy.